And happy Monday, book lovers. This is Kurt Berglund with my Monday book review. I review fiction as well as nonfiction. Have an interesting fiction book coming up for you very soon. But every Monday for a few minutes, I talk about a book that maybe you haven't seen, about a topic that maybe you haven't thought about, but is definitely baseball connected. This one goes back to 1981 for its publication date. It is called The Team That Wouldn't Die, and it's written by Hal Bodley, who was the Phillies beat writer, Philadelphia Phillies beat writer for many years, wrote for the Sporting News, and, of course, covered the team during the 1980 season. This book is 363 pages long. There is a and as the one of the beat writers for the Phillies, he had access to everything you can imagine about that season. So there's lots of stories, lots of quotes about the Phillies championship season in 1980 when they won the amazing National League Championship Series over the Houston Astros in 5 games, and then took out the American League Championship champion Kansas City Royals in 6. So it's 363 pages. It was published in 1981. I purchased it for about $10, used. As you can see, it's been recovered for the copy that I have. And at the back, after the 363 pages of text, there's about another 20 or so pages that is sourced to the 1981 Philadelphia Phillies media guide. So there is a lot of statistics there in the book about the 1980 Phillies and about the Phillies franchise up to that point. It is not a sabermetric book, if that's what you're looking for about the Phillies, but if you want the basic stats and then some, you will find it at the back of this book. Hal Bodley, Bodley, is the writer, in case you're not familiar with his work. I read the book looking for, for 3 things. One, I wanted to read about the story of this very unique World Series team. They won 91 games, sort of a squeaker of a pennant of a division championship over the Expos. But it's a very different kind of championship team from the standpoint that if you look at them from 1 to 25, maybe not so great. But if you look at their top 3 players, Steve Carlton, Mike Schmidt, and in 1980, Tug McGraw, they are an amazing team. And they were coming off of a 1979 season where Dallas Green took over as manager near the tail end of the year. Said he didn't really want the job, but was asked to do so, and did it as a favor to Paul Owens and Willie Carpenter. And so he did it. And then they held him over for the 1980 season. And what he really claimed that he wanted to do was to be a director of player personnel. And this, of course, is a considerable distance. Being the manager is a considerable distance from that job. But he did it, taking over for Danny Ozark. Now, Danny Ozark was the Phillies skipper, of course, during their 76, 77, and 78 playoff appearances, losing to the Reds in 76 and the Dodgers in 77 and 78. And the implication is made in the book that he kind of lost control of the clubhouse in 79, and even though the team won a lot of games in 79, they were seen as underachieving, and hence the firing of Ozark in August and the hiring of Green. Now, Dallas Green came on board and quickly established and supported his reputation as being a tough leader, one of these macho type guys with high expectations and not above calling people out in the press, players out in the press, benching players. He ran into trouble at various points with his entire outfield, Luzinski, Maddox, and McBride. McBride even at one point said that he didn't want to come back if Green was the manager in 81. So what I was interested in, one of the things I was interested in this book is about to what extent Green's machismo had anything to do with the success of the Phillies in 1980. And that was one thing, and there is a fair amount about that in the book. And the second thing that I was interested in, just from a historical perspective, is the treatment of Pete Rose. Now, Hal Bodley wrote a book with Rose in 85, but I wanted to see how Rose would be treated and was viewed as part of this team. And certainly he was seen as a very, very, very important part of the team by Bodley, and there is plenty of evidence to support that in the book. At the same time, Rose did not have his greatest statistical season in 1980, and that is pointed out at some length as well, although I think Pete comes out looking pretty good in this book. So if you're looking for a harsh treatment of Rose, this probably isn't the book for you about the 1980 Philadelphia Phillies. That is, but I loved the detail. I loved the fact that as a beat writer, Bodley knew all about the team. And sometimes you get beat writers writing books like this after a championship season that isn't very thorough. Like they're just cranking it out in a month or so after the season, trying to make a buck. That's not what this book is. Bodley put some time into this, and there's a lot of material in here. Whether you're a Phillies fan or just a baseball fan, it's an interesting read. You may not always agree with it, but it's an interesting read. So, the book is called The Team That Wouldn't Die, 1981 publication date. The writer, Hal Bodley, Bodley, 363 pages of text, another 20 pages of stats, no index. If that's what you're looking for, you won't find it here. But a good read, an interesting read, and certainly about a team whose World Series title sometimes I think gets sold short, but the team was really good. And there's plenty of information about here to tell you all about them. So, thank you for joining me. I'm Kurt Berglund. I'll be back next Monday with another book review for your baseball bookshelf. Thank you again. Subscribe to my channel, please. Have a good day. So long, everybody.